1 out of 3 exhibitors at the 2018 Consumer Electronics Show hails from China.
Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas has mostly been dominated by autonomous vehicles with a focus on artificial intelligence motoring.
Leading the Empower part of the equation is the autonomous off-roader dubbed 3ED18.
The rise of AI technology extends to startup businesses too, which represents the future of China's tech industry. Unfamiliar names from China such as Byton, an electric car startup, got a lot of attention.
The gap between China and the United States are closing, and they're closing fast. And what will give an edge to China is a much larger population and a fast-growing market.
One of the biggest events on the tech calendar kicked off this week with firms showing off their latest gadgets and innovations. But this year's Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas has mostly been dominated by autonomous vehicles with a focus on artificial intelligence motoring. Noah Ram with the details.
Autonomous vehicles have starred in CES in previous years, but they haven't received the spotlight as much as they are doing this year. Toyota, for example, unveiled the e-Palette, which the firm says is a multi-purpose transportation and mobility platform. The boxy electric vehicle is essentially a blank slate to be modified for almost any use. It could shuttle people to a hotel or become the hotel itself, or it could transport people to and from work or become the office. Car maker has already struck partnerships with Amazon, Pizza Hut and Uber, among others. Toyota's fellow Japanese rival Honda, meanwhile, unveiled its 3E concept, or Empower Experience and Empathy, to help people in everyday tasks. Leading the Empower part of the equation is the autonomous off-roader dubbed 3ED18. The firm claims it's highly maneuverable and almost indestructible, helping to keep human exposure to dangerous environments to a minimum. Honda's 3EC18, a robotic wheelchair of sorts, represents the experience part of its vision. The boxy electric cargo concept can be transformed into a canopy, for example, to be used by street vendors selling their wares. For empathy, a light bulb-shaped robot on wheels named 3EA18 uses AI to understand the needs of people. It could be used as a museum guide, hotel receptionist or shopping assistant. Aside from car makers, tech companies also want a piece of the action. Chip maker Intel announced partnerships with BMW, Nissan, Volkswagen and Ferrari to help develop autonomous vehicle technology. It'll also leverage Intel's Mobileye-based mapping technology for improving self-driving cars' navigation process. Graphic card maker Nvidia revealed that it's working with over 320 companies on self-driving through products like its Drive PX and now Drive Savior, GPU-powered autonomous driving computers. With such technologies advancing at a rapid pace, it may not be long until we see our roads filled with vehicles lacking a steering wheel or even people.
Already the most vibrant AI platform in China.
In the heart of CES, the self-proclaimed Google of China, Baidu, holds an event called Baidu World. Chief Operating Officer Qi Lu says Baidu is focused on accelerating artificial intelligence at what he calls China speed.
The United States is still by far the best. However, the gap between China and the United States are closing, and they're closing fast. And what will give an edge to China is a much larger population and a fast-growing market.
That allows for greater experimentation. On a live stream from Beijing, this was billed as the first ever self-driving parade, complete with sedans, minibuses, street sweepers, and delivery vehicles, all navigating without a human driver.
Buddy, thank you very much for the delivery, especially in such a very cold morning.
This year's Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas has mostly been dominated by autonomous vehicles with a focus on artificial intelligence motoring. Toyota, for example, unveiled the e-Palette, which the firm says is a multi-purpose transportation and mobility platform. The carmaker says the interior can be customized to meet the needs of partner companies, which so far include Amazon, Pizza Hut and Uber, among others. Its fellow Japanese rival Honda, meanwhile, unveiled its 3E concept, or Empower, Experience and Empathy. It envisions a future in which multiple robotic devices work together as a system to help people in everyday tasks. They include an autonomous off-roader designed to help with heavy-duty work, a robotic wheelchair of sorts to help people get around, and a light bulb-shaped device on wheels that is designed to understand the needs of people and offer assistance accordingly.
1 out of 3 exhibitors at the 2018 Consumer Electronics Show hails from China, a trend that clearly underscores Beijing's transformation from a manufacturer of low-value goods to technology-related products. Won Jung-hwan takes a closer look.
Chinese tech companies seeking to challenge the dominance of U.S. firms like Amazon and Tesla have flooded this year's Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, accounting for more than a quarter of the exhibitors. The show's organizer, the Consumer Technology Association, says around 1/3 of the show's 4,500 exhibitors are Chinese. According to a professor who's currently attending the 4-day event, which runs through this Friday, the world's biggest consumer electronics and IT trade show is gradually becoming a platform for China to showcase its vision.
Every year, the power of China in these industries is getting bigger. Among the many Chinese companies here this year, the spotlight was on Huawei and Baidu. In particular, Baidu, for example, showcased its own artificial intelligence technology called Apollo.
China's biggest tech companies have ambitions in the automotive industry too. Baidu is using its Apollo 2.0 to work on tech for self-driving cars. In addition to automobiles, AI-loaded robots were also prominent. Nearly half of the robot-related booths were from China. The rise of AI technology extends to startup businesses too, which represents the future of China's tech industry. Unfamiliar names from China such as Byton, an electric car startup, got a lot of attention. On Sunday, Byton unveiled an electric car that with one charge is enough for a week of urban commuting. Chinese startups are succeeding in getting a lot of attention publicly, and in that regard, Korean firms still lag behind.
This year, Korean startups did participate in the CES. Overall, some received awards for innovation, but some of them didn't get much attention. I think that it will be very important for our startup companies to show their products more often at global exhibitions like CES or NWC.
Participating in the CES could help local companies stand out from their global competitors, and in turn help them get funding, particularly at a time when investors are becoming more cautious.
Consumer Electronics Show wraps up today in Las Vegas, and our very own Holland Cook, host of The Big Picture, just back from that convention. Great to have you back. All right, what's the headline? You're there every year. What impressed you?
Well, it's big business. $321 billion this year in the USA alone. And throughout the Great Recession, this consumer electronics category has never had a down year. The funniest thing upon arrival there is that we, the news media, are instructed by the Consumer Electronics Show not to use the phrase Consumer Electronics Show, because they're trying to shake the notion that it's a gadget bazaar. And with Bitcoin and presidential tweets grabbing the headlines, we Christmas shop on Amazon, we get a ride from Uber. There's a lot more to technology than just gadgets.
What about these cars that aren't going to need a driver, which I'm kind of for because I'm sick of people holding traffic up because they're too busy on their iPhones. So, you know, not to multitask.
But drunk driving, distracted driving, it's been estimated we could save 30,000 lives a year if we took human error out of the equation. BMW, Ford, GM, Nissan, VW, and Volvo say they're going to have autonomous cars on the road in 3 years. Tesla even sooner. You won't be able to buy one till 2025, and they won't be cheap. But the first driverless cars we're going to see are going to be Uber and Lyft taxis. And this is going to be huge for the trucking industry. They're going to platoon with a truck driver also driving a couple other trucks that accompany him. And as you know, this has been happening for years because you took me years and years ago to Big Iron in North Dakota to look at the advanced technology in ag equipment. For 15 years now, John Deere has had self-driving tractors. Your car already has GPS, it already has cruise control. So we're in the process of making all these computers you operate handshake. Obviously, we have to wait for nationwide 5G for this to be widespread, but this is going to happen.
Quickly, what's the big thing for 2018?
Voice control. Alexa, turn the lights off, turn the heat up. It's already happening, and we're going to eventually abandon the keyboard and just talk to our devices.
Well, I have to admit, we had Alexa in the house at the lake for Christmas.
It's cool.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Frank Sinatra. Boom. Holland, great to have you with us.
As tech companies in Silicon Valley vie to get their self-driving cars on the road, the reality of autonomous vehicles has become a matter of when, not if. And some predict that once Tesla, Alphabet, and Uber complete their driverless arms race, transportation will become free. But as with many free things, there may be a catch. Here to explain is Judith Donath, an advisor at Harvard's Berkman Klein Center. She is in Boston. Thanks for joining us. Let's start with your theory. Companies are pouring billions of dollars into developing this technology. How would free driverless cars be a sustainable business model?
Well, the idea I had put forth was a projection from the way that the web developed, because in the early days of the web, we never thought that advertising would be a big part of it, let alone the thing that really drove its development. And I was thinking, you know, it's been such a huge force with things. What happens when that hits cars? And instead of having to support articles by getting people to read ads for goods, you could support giving people rides places by taking them to the places you would otherwise be advertising for on the way.
Judith, how would that differ from public transportation, say like a bus?
Well, a bus right now, you pay to get on it, and perhaps it's subsidized, but you pay a fair amount, some amount to get on it, and it takes you where you're planning to go with some stops along the way. What I think may be interesting with driverless cars is, remember, they are going to exist within a ecology of intelligent devices, of already the type of tracking that we get online, where there will be a tremendous amount of information about what you're interested in, what you might want to be buying, what you would consider doing, what's very tempting for you. And so you could have something that said, well, you could, for instance, go to the beach with your friends and it will cost $20. Or if you all stop on the way at Target or something, it's free.
And, you know, some people are already wary about the amount of information collected by companies like Amazon and Google. Will people be receptive to this idea?
I think it depends how it's framed. And one of the interesting pieces is that a lot of the companies that are developing the cars are the ones that also have these vast databases. I think a lot of how receptive people are to it is if it's presented as this wonderful bonus where you feel like you're getting away with something for free. Part of it is if you have something like, Alexa's granddaughter, that's your little friend and assistant at home, and it knows all kinds of things about what you need, and it just makes these suggestions about how you could, make this stop and that stop along the way, and how convenient and handy it is. Or don't you remember, it's your, aunt's birthday in 2 weeks, maybe you should stop at a shop to pick her something up. I think there's a lot of ways it can be framed where people would feel that the system was doing them a favor. On the other hand, if you look at it from the perspective of how much additional consumption something like this would entail, even though people felt they were getting a bargain, they may end up spending considerably more, is the difference.